Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we are going to be revisiting my tips for a perfect panther video, which has gained a lot of traction recently, and it has helped a lot of people to find that perfect panther, but some people are still struggling, either with the location or just not knowing exactly how long to wait for a panther to show up. And I'm seeing a lot of the same comments and questions about how to get it. So we're going to kind of reiterate some of the tips that I gave initially, but I'm going to expand on it. And then this time, instead of just showing one location, which is my favorite location and works for me every time, but the game works differently for everybody, so it might not work for you. So I want to show you all the different locations that you can find a panther. And then at the end of the video, we're also going to talk about how that translates to online. So let's get into it. So here we have a very useful resource for you, and it is the Ropke map. It is the RDO version versus the collector map version, and there's a lot of things that you can find on here, different animals, plants, events, etc. But we're basically going to come to the animal section here. We're going to go to Panther. If we select it, you can see that it is going to show you all the possible spawn locations for the panthers. You can see this large area down here, which is my favorite, south of Braithwaite Manor. You can see there's a lot of spawn locations there. That's why I love this one so much. And if you can see, I'm hovering over those black dots there. It shows that the panther is active both during the day and night. So you don't have to worry about only going at nighttime. It's pretty much any time of the day you can get that panther. Now, the second location I recommend, which is the one near Le Gras there and Le Quay, doesn't have any black spawn points, so it doesn't really say what time of day, but I have most luck with that at nighttime. And then you can see Stillwater Creek and the other one in the Blue Water Marsh area. They're all nighttime spawns. So it's just something you want to keep in mind. This can be a really, like I said, a great tool to help you out if you're struggling to find something specific. During story mostly is what this is focused on, but again, it can just be a really useful tool for you, so I recommend checking it out. Okay, first up is location number 1, and this is the one that is south of Braithwaite Manor. This is my favorite and most reliable spot because 1, you can get a panther during the day or night, and there's a ton of spawns, so the likelihood of it spawning is extremely high. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to come to this area right here at this intersection, and I'm going to recommend that you save your game. The reason for this is because if you do get a panther to spawn, and it is a 1 or a 2-star panther, you are not going to kill it. You are just going to reload your save. So you're going to reload, that way you show right back up in that area and you can do it all over again. This is going to save you time so that you can get a panther as quickly as possible. You're going to walk over to these rocks and you're going to drop down some bait. Now, I usually use potent predator bait. I didn't have any on this account right now, so I'm using regular predator bait. It works just as good. And also you can throw a deer down. Like if you hunt a deer, you can throw it down there. I'm told that works as well. I have never tested that because to me, that just takes more time to go hunt a deer to then place it down, especially when I might be reloading saves. So I just use the predator bait. It's always in my satchel. It's super easy to use and I don't have to worry about anything. Then I'm going to move back either onto my horse or onto this rock here. Now, the advantage of being on your horse is your horse will start to get a little unsettled if there's a predator nearby. So you can have kind of an early warning. If you haven't quite seen the panther yet, your horse may let you know. But I'm going to get on this rock. That way, if the panther charges, it's less likely to be able to kill you. And I'm going to pull my binoculars out. Now, you can use a scope on a weapon as well. However, you don't have as good a field of vision, so the binoculars give you a wider field of vision. Now, in this clip, I know that a panther is not going to spawn. And the reason I know that is because if you notice when my horse was riding up, it has a panther skin on the back of it. And that is because I already killed a panther on this account the last time I was on. And if you've done that, the panther is not going to respawn that quickly. You are going to have to sleep a couple in-game days. But I wanted to show you what might happen. So I go back to the rock. I immediately can already start hearing a boar in my right-hand side. So I know that another animal is coming up. So if you see another animal going toward the bait, a boar, a fox, a coyote, anything, a wolf, anything like that, the panther is probably not going to spawn. Do not waste your time. As soon as you see those other animals going for that bait, just reload your save. Try again. You don't want to sit there for 5-10 minutes and hope a panther is going to show up because it's probably not going to. I don't think I've ever had a panther show up if I've just sat around waiting. Now, I haven't tested that because I'm not wasting my time waiting for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes for a panther that is likely not going to spawn. I'm just going to simply reload my save and try again. Okay, so my game is loaded back up again. You can see I'm right back in the area that I started, and now you have a few choices. If you have not killed a panther recently, then you can just do those steps again. So you're gonna go, you're gonna put bait down, you're gonna look. If the panther doesn't spawn though, I'm going to recommend just riding through the area, making sure there's not an event in the area. If there is an event in the woods there, it can prevent the panther from spawning. So just take a ride through, make sure you don't see any camp set up or any type of moonshine event. There's one that spawns in there early on in the story. So just make sure that's clear first. And it's very rare that a panther doesn't spawn. So if you do this one more time and it's still another predator that goes for that bait, then what I do and what I did here, because I knew that I had already killed a panther recently, is I'm going to set up camp and I'm just going to sleep for as long as I possibly can until the game says you can't sleep anymore because you've basically had too many hours in a row. And at that point, the panther should respawn. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set up camp. I'm going to sleep until it says, no, you can't sleep anymore. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to do all of those steps the way I outlined at the beginning. And I'm just going to do them all over again. Okay, so I'm going to let this next clip play out without any interruption because I don't want to cut it. I want you to see exactly how long it takes when a panther spawns. So I go back to the 2 rocks by the side of the road. I'm going to throw my bait down. I'm going to run back to the rock that I stand on. I'm going to pull my binoculars out and already I see big cat. I mean, that's how fast it happens, realistically speaking. If you go to that rock and a minute or 2 passes and you're seeing nothing, don't wait. So many people were like, I sat here and I waited for like 10, 20 minutes and the panther never spawns. The game is weird, okay? If the panther doesn't spawn within a minute or 2, it's probably not going to. Don't waste your time. If you do this method and the panther does not spawn, again, 1, check to make sure there's not an event going on in the area. 2, I would sleep a couple in-game days. The only time I really reload the save is if a panther spawns and it's not a 3-star, because I know that a panther is going to spawn, so all the conditions are right. So I just want to reload so that I can get another panther with a different star level. And eventually you will get that 3-star. I lucked out. All of mine were 3-star when I was making this video. But again, reload the save if you get a panther and it's not a 3-star. Sleep a couple in-game days if the panther is not spawning or other animals are going for that bait. Okay, so now the next 2 locations are around the Lakay area. Now on the Gene Ropke map, you'll only see the northern spot that I mark has a mark for panthers. I do find panthers around the small church, which is the southern spot that I mark, but that is online. So I'm not sure in story, maybe the panthers don't really spawn around there that often, and they do spawn in that northern spot. I'm not sure. Again, this is not my go-to location to look for a 3-star panther because the other location is so good for me. But basically what I do is I rotate between these 2 spots. So I'm going to put bait in the southern location. I'm going to ride away a little bit. I'm going to pull out my binoculars and I'm going to look through. I immediately see that other animals are going for that bait. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ride up to that northern area. I'm just going to pick a spot. I'm going to throw some bait down, again, ride away and pull my binoculars out. Now, here's where I also recommend just doing a ride through. Sometimes just riding through, the panther will start chasing you, or it can trigger that panther to spawn in. I actually missed that a panther was going up to this bait. There's a lot of trees in this area. It was dark in this. It was nighttime here, and you do have to go nighttime for these locations. So it's a little bit harder to see the panther. And when I ride up, it actually surprises me because I wasn't expecting it. I didn't see it. The tree was kind of blocking it. From here, I think in this clip, I even have to get off of the Few Spotted Appaloosa. I had literally just picked that horse up because when I first rode up to this area, there was a camp there and I wanted to clear it out so that there was no event or anything happening, and I stole that horse. But it's like a level 1 bond, so I couldn't get that horse to chase after the panther. So make sure you're on a good horse when you're doing this as well. Make sure you're on a really steady level 4 bonded horse, one that you know doesn't do too terrible around predators, and that way you can actually chase the panther if it runs away and get close. And this Tiger Stripe Mustang did an amazing job. I basically just try to get close to it, and then my goal is to get it to chase me a little bit because getting a headshot while it's chasing you is much easier. So when a panther starts chasing you, you can kind of look back while you're on your horse. And for this one, I use a bow and arrow with a poison arrow, which is what I recommend, because if you get a perfect headshot and the panther doesn't die immediately, the poison will actually work will make it drop to the ground. You can get a mercy kill and it'll preserve the 3-star pelt quality. In the first video clip, I used a rolling block headshot. That is also another great method. You can use also a Springfield or a bolt action. So the goal is you need to get a headshot and the animal needs to die immediately, except for the poison arrow, in order to preserve that 3-star pelt quality. Okay, location number 3 also has 2 different areas fairly close by to each other. I've got them marked on this map here with the red arrows. And so just use the same method that we use near Lakay, which is to bait in one spot, check for a panther, and then ride to the other spot if you're not getting one, place bait down and check again. Again, using the same rules as if a panther does not spawn, you're gonna sleep a couple in-game days, or if a panther spawns and it's a 1 or 2 star, you're gonna reload your save so that you can try to get that 3-star panther. Honestly though, guys, I've seen panthers in this area. I would definitely recommend working on spots 1 and 2 before you move on to this one, because I just think they don't spawn as frequently over here, and I think it is going to take a lot longer. So it's not a spot I would recommend you go to first. Absolutely. Okay, and that brings us to location number 4, which is at Stillwater Creek. Now, this is definitely a rare spawn. At least I have only had maybe a panther or 2 attack me here, and it's usually if I'm riding through the area, especially if I'm in cinematic mode. That cinematic mode a lot of times will trigger things like events or animals spawning in. So I did try to place bait here and see if I could get a panther to spawn for the video. I was not successful. I did it 3 or 4 times. It did not work. So again, I don't know that I would recommend this one if you're really trying to get a 3-star panther for that satchel or the saddle or even the outfits, because you might be waiting a while. But if you're looking for a challenge and you definitely want to try like a rare spawn, then this is the area. It's always, I think the couple times that the panthers come after me, it's been on these bridges here. On the Gene Ropke map, they show them inland a little bit more around the water. So you might try placing bait in different areas, maybe try riding through in cinematic mode. So try some different things to see if you can get it to spawn in. But again, this is not the location I would send you to for a perfect 3-star panther, because I think it's going to be pretty difficult to force it to spawn in, which is basically what we're doing in all these areas, is we're using little tips and tricks to kind of force the spawn, because we're looking for something specific, whether that's a 3-star panther, you know, or any other type of animal. This method does work with other animals and events going on, and it's basically just using the game and how the game works to try to get whatever it is we're specifically looking for. So again, Stillwater Creek, not my recommended spot. Also, if you didn't know, most people think that you can only get the Fer-de-Lance snake on Guarma. However, there is a rare spawn over here as well for that. So if you're looking for that for your compendium, Stillwater Creek has an area. You can probably check for the exact location on the Gene Ropke map, but I do know it is in this area, and I have actually seen it personally, so I do know that it works as well. Okay guys, so let's go ahead and talk about online for a second. So you can definitely use these tips for online, but it doesn't work as well. And the reason for that is because a lot is happening online. If you are in a public lobby, you have other players that are messing with the spawns. They may have killed the panther already. You've got multiple events that spawn in the same areas, one right after the other, whether that's Moonshiner or hideouts, things like that. And so there's a lot competing on an online server for these different spawns. So my recommendation is, if you need to kill a panther for a daily, for example, there is a moonshine mission that you can go into. It's either, I want to say it's story mission number 4 in the Moonshiner, but it might be 2. So maybe somebody in the comment section could mention which one it is. You can get kills on panthers there. You can't skin them, but you can still get the kill. So if you're looking for it for a daily, or if Harriet has the legendary panther, that will also count as well as a kill. However, some tips to try to get them to spawn online is try to get your camp as close to one of these locations as possible. And, or even there, if you use that Gene Ropke map, there is a legendary spawn, a couple legendary spawns on the map as well. So try to get your camp nearby. Do the same methods, like make sure there's not an event nearby, make sure there's not other players nearby. And if it's all clear, you you can try to put bait down. I actually do it here in this clip. This is online. This is a public lobby. There are players in here. My camp is nearby. I go and place bait down. I actually get the panther right away. So sometimes you just luck out. Now, if you don't luck out, there's stuff going on, the panther doesn't spawn, you can just hit the start button and just go into free roam. So don't go to crimes, opportunities, camp. Don't select any other button other than free roam. It'll put you right back in the lobby right in that location, and it will increase your chances that you'll be able to get it to spawn. So again, a little bit harder online. It doesn't work quite the same because it's not story mode. It's a public server with lots of other players, but give it a try anyway, because sometimes it does still work. Okay, so let's review some of the tips for getting that perfect panther. Number one, you're going to go to the area of the panther spawn location that you're going to be working around, and you're going to save your game. So this is going to allow you to very quickly reload a save. If a panther spawns in that is not a 3-star, if it's a 1-star or a 2-star, you already know a panther is going to spawn in this area. So all you're going to do when you see that 1 or 2-star panther is reload your save, and that's going to save you a bunch of time. Tip number 2, if a panther does not spawn in, don't wait long. So wait a minute or two. And if you see another animal go into that bait, you can pretty much right then go ahead and sleep for a few in-game days or reload the save. So I'll reload the save maybe once or twice, but if a panther still isn't spawning, then I am definitely going to sleep a couple in-game days just to make sure that that's not messing with it at all. Tip number 3, make sure that there's no events going on nearby because they can affect the spawns, especially in story mode. There's like a moonshine type mission that spawns in that area south of Braithwaite Manor. And you want to make sure that's cleared out first, because if that's not cleared out, then I typically don't get the panther to spawn. So you just want to make sure you look around, make sure there's no camps, none of the black smoke anywhere. So nothing that's happening that could mess with it. Tip number 4, I recommend using predator bait or potent predator bait. And this is simply for convenience. You can keep a bunch in your satchel if you're having to reload saves. It's just easy. A lot of people in the comment sections were like, hey, you can kill a deer, you can throw a deer down. It works just the same. I do it here. I kill a deer and I put it there and I wait a minute and I'm like looking and nothing happens. I put potent predator bait down and a couple seconds later, the panther's spawning in. So I don't know. Maybe it works. Maybe it works for some people. Maybe it just doesn't work for me, but it's also just harder. And so my opinion, if you're in the zone of hunting and this is your thing in the game and you like to take your time and hunt, and sure, absolutely. But if you're just trying to get a 3-star panther as quickly as possible, use the predator bait. Tip number 5, if you're playing story mode, use Eagle Eye. This is going to slow everything down and highlight animals in the area. It's going to make it easier to see if there are animals moving into your bait, especially at night, that are not panthers. So either boars or coyote or fox. And also it can help highlight a panther if you're not seeing it through your binoculars. Again, especially because a lot of these areas you're going to have to do this at night. It can just be a little bit harder to see. And if you're playing online and you have the refined binoculars, it sort of does the same thing as Eagle Eye. And so I can use those binoculars. You can actually see exactly where your bait is placed down because it gives off a mist. And again, the animals are going to flash a little bit so you can kind of see the outlines. And, you know, once you've played long enough, everybody knows you sort of get to know the outlines of animals. You know which animal that you're looking at, and it can just be a useful tool. Tip number 6, if you find yourself getting attacked by panthers and you're not able to kill them because they're killing you first, then make sure to use your environment. So try to get up on a rock or get into some water if you can. And these are going to help you because the panther typically isn't going to jump up onto a rock or come out into the water to get you. And so that'll give you time to line up your shot. If you're in story mode, take advantage of being able to paint with Deadeye. I don't know exactly what chapter or mission you get that, but Deadeye, remember, slows everything down. It's going to make it easier to get that headshot. Once you have the ability to paint your own targets, you can manually paint it. Even before then, if you're aiming at the head and it's automatically painting the target, you can still get a headshot doing that. And then if you are online and you're struggling with panthers, keep in mind you can use the ability card Slow and Steady. Now, I don't love Slow and Steady because basically the cat, the panther, the cougar, it's going to get right up next to you and it can be tricky, but your horse can't buck you when you're in Slow and Steady. So if you can learn how to maneuver around a bit and still get a shot off, you might be able to get the panther before like your horse bucks you and it kills you. It's just Slow and Steady takes a little bit of finesse because it can be tricky with the animal right up next to you. Tip number 7, use the Gene Ropke RDO map. So not the collector map if you're used to using that online, but the RDO map. I'm going to link it in the description below. It's a great tool. So use it for the exact spawn points and then also the hours that the panther will spawn in that area. If you're struggling to get a panther, use the tools and resources that are available to help you to get that to spawn in. And this can just be a good one to know the exact location and the exact spawn times. Okay, and the final tip I have for you right now is just to move around and try a different area if one location isn't working for you. So if you go south of Braithwaite Manor and you're doing everything right, you followed the video, you've made a game save, you put down the bait, you didn't have a panther spawn, you slept some in-game days, you made sure there was an event nearby, and you're like, I'm doing everything right, I'm reloading saves, and I just can't get a panther to spawn, then maybe that spot just isn't great for you. Maybe there's something going on right now, the reason why it won't spawn. So try a different area. Go over near Lakay, try near the little church or north of that, and follow the same steps. Give it a couple tries, sleep a couple in-game days, and then just like I said, move around, try different areas. The game works differently for all of us, so you never know which area is going to be a really good area for you, and it's not necessarily going to be the area that's really good for me. Okay guys, we've reached the end of the video. I hope that I answered some questions and gave you maybe a few more things to try if you are still struggling to get that 3-star panther. There's lots of items in the game that require them. The satchel, the saddle, one of my favorite vests actually requires the 3-star panther. So I hope you're able to find lots of them. Remember, once you kill a panther, you need to sleep some in-game days and before the next one will spawn. So just keep that in mind. If you did find this video helpful, I'd appreciate it if you give it a like. Leave a comment below if you have a tip I didn't cover, if you have any questions. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.